Okay, today's video is going to be about the elevated deadlift and why we might start programming it. Elevating the deadlift, I've got kind of I don't know, it's probably 3.5, 4 inches up off the ground. We can definitely start higher. Sometimes we'll do this when people who haven't deadlifted before. It's a much safer position, being up a little bit higher instead of being down all the way. Some people might not have the range of motion yet, or really have the confidence to pull from the ground. So, really good way to kind of get people to start. Sometimes you'll see some of those hex bars with really high handles. Basically just an elevated deadlift with high handles rather than the weight being up off the ground. Or we might start to program this where someone's pretty proficient in deadlifting, they've gone through some pretty good cycles of training, and it's a way we can increase the load or the intensity with a little bit of a safer practice. By having the weight up a little bit further, the athlete just by its very nature is a little bit more has more leverage and can pull more weight. And so we can load that athlete up in a very safe manner, or a relatively safe manner, and then we can go back down to the ground and we can kind of reap the benefits from our training up above. So we can kind of get a little creative. I've got a couple different setups here, and your gym might have some big old trays that you can elevate the barbell in. These things would probably be a little bit too small and maybe unsafe. You kind of have a pretty short window of landing the bar there. These are homemade. Actually, one of our members made these, just some 2x4s with some sheets of plywood and some rubber mats to get that weight up. And then another thing you can do is you can also, if you have a gym that has lots of bumper plates, you can just elevate the bar or the unit up on a bunch of plates. And just make sure you're training at the same height for a while. Don't kind of vary that, just so you know that you're doing good work at that right angle. If you wanted to go a little bit higher, do another training cycle of that. But this is what it looks like. I'm going to face you all, so you're not looking at my backside. But all the same principles as a good deadlift. Nice and close to the bar. You're just going to be able to pick it up from a little bit higher. Nice neutral spine, get tight. Come up with it, straight back down. You might make a little bit of noise with the bar hitting the tray. I definitely don't suggest, like some of the heavy deadlifts we do, we'll drop the bar to the ground or up on these blocks. If it's on these trays, I wouldn't suggest that. That thing's going to kind of bounce and make some pretty awful noise. So definitely control that thing down. You can make a little bit of noise, but don't drop it from up high. So that's one way. And then another way would be to have these blocks. It's basically the same thing. You're just pulling from a little bit higher. You can also imagine these being some plates. Nice neutral spine, strong tension here in the beginning. Pull this thing up, back down. So good for new athletes deadlifting. It's a little bit of a safer position. And then also good for athletes to kind of maybe get through some plateaus or change their training cycle if they've been deadlifting a lot.